And they didn't really see recording as, main way to make money. The main way was live performance. Recording was just a side deal for most people. They had some studio sharks. They had people that did a lot of studio work, like Vernon Dalhart or Billy Murray, people like that, Eileen Stanley, that probably did actually make a large portion, maybe all their income from records. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think Billy Murray toured too much. He was mostly a recording guy.
Yeah. I remember reading something, because he's big in the acoustic era, that they liked, in the acoustic era, people whose voices could cut through, and Billy Murray had the kind of voice penetrating resonance. So he was very successful in the acoustic era.
Well, I know you guys are into a lot of classic blues recordings.
Yes.
And classic country, and with acoustic, you had to have a certain voice, and the orchestra had to be set up a certain way to cut through. But there was once the microphones came along, there was definitely more of an intimacy.
Yeah, it changed everything. Yeah.
And I mean that in a physical recording way, and also it felt like people can go inside more and get closer.
Then you could bring in like even parlor musicians like Mississippi John Hurt, played and sang in a very quiet way.
Right.
And he was not a stage artist at all. He just sang in people's houses, and I don't think he even went on the street. Street musicians learned how to project also, so some of them were loud. But yeah, so you could get people who weren't used to have that kind of stentorian tones. But then in the early days of electrical recording, you had these singers coming up with names like Whispering Jack Smith and Confidential Charlie, who had intimate voices.
Well, the one I love, who's he should have recorded it electric, but he did it acoustically. Wendell Hall.
Wendell Hall, yeah.
Like It Ain't Gonna Rain No Mo.
Yeah, I think he made it into the early electric era.
He might have made an electric version. I know I have like Irving Aronson. He made acoustic versions of his records, and he was right on the cusp. Then he started making them electric. They went back and redid his catalog.
Yeah, they did that, yeah.
It's interesting to hear the difference in them, which is not much, except it's more hi-fi. Can we call 78s hi-fi?
Yeah, I think high fidelity. I believe that by 1930, they perfected electrical recording and the microphones and the sound, and they didn't need to improve on it after that, but they just kept monkeying with it until, I don't know, that by the late 30s, to me, the microphones sound kind of shrill. I don't know. 1930, it had a nice warm recording tone, the microphones. I don't know what it is exactly. John would know better, but he's not mic'd.
I don't know. Do you have a parameter of records like you like to collect, like say from here to here?
Yeah.
What's that about?
Well, in the realm of jazz and dance bands, I lose interest around 1932 generally, 1931, 32. After that, it starts to, you get this either abysmal Depression-era sweet band sound that's just, to me, pretty dull, or the proto-swing era stuff, which and the swing era doesn't interest me at all. Zero interest in swing music. Glenn Miller, Artie Shaw, the Benny Goodman stuff in the swing era. Duke Ellington. I lose interest in Duke Ellington around 1931. I don't know why. I can't figure it out. It's very personal aesthetic thing. I don't know.
Right. Well, it seems like also that jazz and blues were and pop, they were more intertwined than also.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
So
yeah, it was all popular music.
Yeah.
And jazz was dance music in the 20s. People went to dance to that. Hot bands.
Right.
And so there was a big mix of dance bands, and jazz was all a big mix in the 20s. And so the early jazz aficionados and connoisseurs, they tried to create these distinctions and stuff, and I guess the whole thing was just too overwhelming for them, so they try to exclude certain kinds of dance bands and as not being jazz. But now for us in this late date, we don't do that. Just listen to everything that has of any kind of interest at all in that era of dance music. There's thousands of bands, and the level of musical quality was so high. You just constantly marvel at it. It was a golden age.